Good evening. My name is Chris Harrington. I'm here today both as a father of 2 students at Conifer High School and a first responder of over 20 years. I have serious concerns about the lack of proactive safety measures in all Jeffco schools, but particularly in our mountain area schools. Jeffco mountain area schools have faced significant safety and emergency response disparities compared to other schools in the district due to geographical, infrastructure, and resource barriers. When we raise the idea of implementing changes and providing mountain schools with proactive safety measures, the response we often hear is that it would be unequitable for the mountain schools to have safety measures that other schools within the district do not. I want to be clear. In our mountain area schools, what we are facing is most definitely unequitable. Let me give you some context. Before the Columbine incident, first responders had little to no training for active shooter scenarios in schools. Columbine revealed major gaps in our preparedness. After the fact, the nation moved to create protocols, training, and standard operating guidelines for first responders. Post-Columbine, the national standard for response looked as such. Police would arrive on scene and wait for backup before entering a building. Fire personnel would only enter once the threat was neutralized and would move slowly throughout the building with a police escort to find and treat victims. Over time, we learned this approach cost lives. Victims with treatable, non-life-threatening injuries were bleeding out before anybody could reach them. Today, the national standard is very different. The first arriving police officer on scene moves immediately to the sound of gunfire to neutralize a threat. Most large metro area fire departments now own and train with ballistic vests and helmets with the intent to enter a building as quickly as possible to treat victims, even if the threat may still be active in other areas of the building. This matters because victims with arterial bleeding only have minutes to survive. Time is literally the difference between life and death. Now consider our mountain area schools. The only law enforcement serving this region is the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, which staffs 5 deputies to the entire Jeffco mountain area, which is over 500 square miles. So that's roughly 1 deputy per 100 square miles. And that's assuming none are sick, injured, at training, or otherwise unavailable that day. In contrast to some of our metro area police departments, Lakewood PD covers 44 square miles and staffs a minimum of 20 officers. Westminster covers 34 square miles and staffs a minimum of 15 officers. Thornton covers 38 square miles and staffs a minimum of 18 officers, and so on. Our mountain fire departments are primarily volunteer-based. Elk Creek Fire in Conifer covers 98 square miles with only 4 paid personnel per shift each day. Evergreen Fire covers 126 square miles with only 8 paid personnel on shift each day. Elk Creek Fire shows an average response time of over 13 minutes, while Evergreen Fire shows an average response time of around 15 minutes. And this is taken into account that there's actually somebody there to respond and they're not on another call or down the hill at a hospital transporting another patient. In contrast, the average response for most metro area fire departments is 5 to 7 minutes. To make matters worse, Elk Creek Fire, as I'm told, does not have ballistic gear, has no active shooter response plan, and has no training for these scenarios. In short, no one is positioned to respond quickly and effectively to protect our children. Contrast this with urban areas. Cities have fully staffed police departments with automatic aid agreements, multiple paid fire stations, which regularly train on active shooter scenarios and have all the necessary equipment and guidelines to respond to such emergencies. The disparity is clear. It is not equitable. I urge you to consider the unique challenges of each school and geographic area when planning security and safety measures. For our mountain area schools, we need layered preventative strategies. We need programs that fill the gaps created by the lack of first responders. As a district that has now faced 3 school shootings, I implore you to take meaningful, actionable steps. Take them now. Make our schools safer for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Number 4.
Jeremy Garst. Good evening, board members. I'm here today representing Grassroots Movement, Mountain Area Conservative Alliance. We're a grassroots movement born out of the Evergreen and Conifer areas, and we are here today to advocate for stronger school security and shorten emergency response time for all of our schools, especially the foothills schools. Our community came together on this issue following the tragic events at Evergreen High School last September 10th. And like many of you, we watched these events unfold with disbelief, frustration, and fear. And like many parents in this county, we sent our kids back to school afterwards, hoping and trusting that everything possible was being done to keep them safe. Since that time, our group has remained focused and committed to strengthening school security and advocating for common sense measures because nothing has changed since last September. Nothing has been done to improve the safety of our kids at most, if not all, Jeffco schools other than EHS. We have spent countless hours researching, speaking with experts, talking to first responders, and reviewing what other school districts across the country are already doing successfully. We feel confident that the items we are going to present to you today, when combined with will greatly increase the safety of our students and provide them with some sense of relief knowing that we have taken action and given them a safe environment. We do not believe school security is a privilege. We believe it is a right. And while we understand that creating a perfect secure environment is extremely difficult, that should never stop us from striving for perfection. The Jeffco foothills are unique. We are a rural area. We do not have the same access to EMS services and law enforcement resources as other Jefferson County schools do down the hill. That is not criticism, it's simply a reality of geography and infrastructure. Because of that reality, we believe our foothill schools should be prioritized for certain security layers, especially those that reduce our dependency on emergency services. Although we are committed to working with you all and the school district as a whole, you need to address some concern first. Recently, we have heard the argument from Jeffco School District representatives that equity is the reason for certain security measures cannot be implemented, because it is unfair to schools who do not receive the same measures. In other words, we are told it is simply not fair for us to get something that others do not also have. We want to be very clear. We respectfully but firmly disagree and reject that knowledge or that logic. The standard is not that the standard is that no school, if the standard is that no school can improve safety unless all schools improve safety simultaneously, then no school will improve, especially when the district is facing millions in budget cuts. That approach guarantees stagnation, it guarantees delay, and it guarantees continued vulnerability. Equity should not mean inaction. It should mean doing the most good where it is most needed as quickly as possible. Today, we are advocating for 3 specific security measures that will help secure our schools and save the lives of our students and teachers. These security measures are Stop the Bleed program, ballistic window film, and electromagnetic detection systems. These are not experimental ideas. They are practical, cost-effective, and implementable solutions that, when combined, significantly strengthen school security and improve survivability during emergencies. The Stop the Bleed program should be at the core of every school security and safety program within the Jefferson County School District. This program can be easily funded by charging families an estimated one-time fee of around $12 when parents enroll their child into school. This cost will vary, of course, depending on the size of the school building and number of classrooms throughout the school. Here's a breakdown of why this program should be a staple at every school throughout the district. The national average response time is 7 to 10 minutes for a standard emergency. This does not include an active shooter scenario where the response time can be stretched to hours depending on how long it takes for emergency services to reach the victims, or law enforcement to neutralize the suspect, and for emergency services to reach the victims. And the time it takes for victims in these situations to receive life-saving care, they often bleed out and with a 0 chance of survival. The Stop the Bleed program addresses this. It addresses this issue and shortens the response time significantly, allowing victims a much greater chance at survival. A successful Stop the Bleed program consists of training school staff on how to apply tourniquets and chest seals, and distributing these medical supplies throughout the school so they are readily available and easy to find during an active shooter event or an unforeseen emergency.
Ready to refresh your space for less? At Living Spaces, thoughtful design and direct sourcing keep prices low while quality.
It empowers staff already in the school to administer life-saving care while waiting on EMS professionals to arrive. For those of you who are not familiar with tourniquets and chest seals, tourniquets are used to stop severe bleeding in arms and legs, while chest seals are prevent lungs from collapsing due to puncture wounds in the chest cavity, often caused by firearm round or stab wound. Tourniquets and chest seals are not complicated devices. They're extremely easy to apply. Training takes only a few hours, and local fire departments are willing to provide this training free of charge. All it takes is some communication and scheduling between the fire department and school leadership to make this happen. Annual refresher courses will also be required to ensure that skills stay sharp and new staff are trained as they come on board. But training alone is not enough. As I mentioned, supplies must be placed in every classroom, and they must be placed in the same location within every room so staff can find them instantly during a crisis. We are advocating for 2 to 4 tourniquets per classroom and 4 to 8 chest seals per classroom. Supplies cannot be centralized in the front office or in hallways due to the nature of the school lockdown and danger of leaving the classroom during that lockdown. They also cannot be scattered randomly within the classroom itself, as staff will be stressed during an emergency and likely not able to find supplies if they are not consistently placed from room to room. We recommend placing these medical supplies in a highly visible container, such as an orange lockdown bucket, used by some schools to house snacks and water for students during lockdown. This is a great place to store these supplies. We assume the argument will be made that suggests training staff, school staff, is simply outside their comfort level. We understand that staff may not be, that they may be uncomfortable with the idea of learning how to apply these life-saving devices during a traumatic event. But I would like to offer a different perspective. This program is not intended for staff to save students' lives only, but also to save their own. This program should be embraced within the Jeffco School District, much like CPR and first aid training has been over the years. We encourage our students to also learn how to apply these life-saving devices so they too are not helpless. God forbid they find themselves in a life or death situation. This training also transcends into everyday life, provides the skills to save lives outside the classroom. We believe this program could literally change the landscape of our community as a whole and empower all of us to save a life. We ask that this program be implemented throughout all Jefferson County schools immediately. There's no single reason out there to say no to this. Costs for supplies can be covered by parents, training can be provided by the fire departments, and the program can go into effect in the very near future. The second layer we're advocating for today is ballistic window film. This film is applied much like window tint, but is bullet resistant. During research, we have found a product made by Safe Haven Defense that can stop multiple rounds up to .762 caliber, which is a powerful hunting round commonly used for large game. While it is not advertised as bulletproof, it provides several critical benefits. It slows or stops multiple rounds before allowing one through. It keeps glass intact. It prevents windows from becoming secondary entry points. And it significantly reduces flying glass injuries. Ballistic film buys time, deters assailants, and prevents secondary entry into school and/or classrooms. My daughter has been through several lockdown drills where the classroom she's locked down in has 2 sets of windows, and it prevents the ability for her to take cover and hide. Ballistic film can help address weak points like this. This product is affordable, widely available, and can be installed quickly by suppliers and/or local window tinting companies. It can be strategically applied to exterior windows, interior windows, and glass doors with minimal cost. The third security layer we're talking about today and advocating for is electromagnetic detection systems. It's a fancy name for what's a modern advanced metal detector. These systems are designed to detect hardened steel only, such as knives and gun barrels, and leaves everyday metal items alone, such as zippers, buttons, and backpack hardware. That means students can move through them quickly and efficiently without needing to dump their packs, have their privacy invaded, while also bottlenecking foot traffic. If you have ever been to a large sporting event or concert, you have likely passed through one of these detection systems. They're mobile, they're storable when not in use, they're battery powered or plug-in, and usable for daily entry or special events. Although they sound expensive, these are pretty low cost, approximately $16,000 per pair, making them one of the most affordable and effective security layers available. Procedurally, it would require a single point of entry throughout the school day, but especially in the morning when students arrive to class. Students pass through the system with an SRO nearby and teachers ready to pat down a student if the alarm is sounded. This technology does not replace staff or law enforcement, but it dramatically reduces the likelihood that a weapon will ever make it inside the building in the first place. When all these layers are combined, a Stop the Bleed program